Hello Internet, hello YouTube. It's MD Rhys back with another Comics RX, where I diagnose the problems I see in comics and prescribe the cure. So last video, it was my first video or whatever, I went ahead and had a really stiff conversation about Captain America, which I wasn't super pleased with, but I'm putting it up anyway. Because raw, uncut, all that kind of jazz. Because I don't know editing. Anyway, I also wanted to take some time here just kind of riff a little about who I am. My name is, of course, MD Rhys. And most people just use the Rhys. And I am a comics writer and commentator that I have been doing for several years, sporadically. Been involved in making indie comics and web comics since 2006. I've been reading comics since I was a little kid. I used to be a staff writer on Fanzine from way back in the day. I don't know if you guys even know what that is. Maybe I'll put a link in the comments or something. Also, Ideal Comics is a place I have co-founded. And our webcomic, Force of Good and Evil, currently on hiatus. Hopefully I'll get that up and going again here soon. And I'm on irregular. I have an irregular column called Quarterman Follies at Gaming Rebellion. And if you go to idealcomics.net, my first Quarterman Follies articles are all up there too. So that's kind of a little bit about me. I've been reading comics since I was 11. Came on when Tim Drake became Robin. That was happening at the same time. So my first superhero comic, monthly superhero comic, was actually a Green Hornet, just after Ron Fortier left the title during the first run before he came back during Now's second volume. A little bit about that. Also a huge in my last video I went on a lengthy rant about Captain America. Now I was going to try to start this channel a couple of years ago. Had a buddy who's kind of prodded me along. Didn't get through with that. Sorry, Barry. And I did start a couple of videos that if you guys are interested in, I'll put up there. They're, especially the Captain America one, which was just when they announced the whole Nazi Cap thing. Pretty long, and the sound quality really sucks. So I don't know if that you're interested in that or not. Let me know in the comments on that. Other than that, I'm going to go ahead and go forward with what I was wanting to talk about with this video, more specifically. So, in addition to being a huge comic fan, I have for years been fascinated by Celtic culture and folklore. For those of you who may not know, that's Celtic with a C, as in Scottish, Irish, Welsh, Cornish, Breton, and Manx culture, and some other stuff too. But so when I saw that DC was releasing a Brave and the Bold Batman and Superman, Batman and Wonder Woman, and that it was going to be based largely on Celtic legend, I said, sign me up. Now, I'm a huge Aquaman fan, and back in the 80s, there was an Aquaman miniseries that touched on a lot of similar concepts and stories. It was really well liked, and had a really good place in the New Earth, the post-crisis DC Universe's Atlantis mythos. So I thought that was pretty cool. So anyway, I was definitely down for this. And on the cover you see you have Batman, you've got Wonder Woman, and you've got Karanos. Now, some of you guys may have heard of Diversity in Comics. Got a man who watches videos, pretty funny guy. However, doesn't understand pronunciation. In the Celtic languages, there's no soft C. So when you see the Boston Celtics, it's the only exception, except for like borrowed words from other languages. But it's always a hard C. So Cymru is the language of the Welsh, or Cymraeg I should say, and Karanos, right? So that guy is with a hard C, and the horned one, right, is what that means. Predominantly shown on the Goldish Drop Cauldron, but that's a whole different thing. We're here to talk about comics, not about archaeology, right? So Liam Sharp was the artist and the writer, and I tell you what, my goodness, his stuff in here his art is so tight. It's amazing. So we start here. I just want to show you one of the devices in the book here. See this circlet with the knotwork and the horse skulls. This shows up throughout the book, and it is just remarkable with the detail he puts into that stuff. The setup is that in Tir na Og, which is the land of the young from Irish legend, right? And it's part of the other world. In Irish folklore and Irish legend and in Welsh legend, there is a land of the spirits, of the fairies, that is adjacent to our world, right? And that's the other world, or Annwn in as it's called in the Welsh sources, Annwn or Annúvan, right? And that's where the gods and the fairies left to when men came onto the British Isles, and that's how that's the story happened there. So the story starts, and in Tir na Og, the land of the young, there is a conflict. There is a battle going on between the children of Dana, right, the goddess of light, and the Fomorians, the dark gods. And in that there's been all this conflict going on. So Cernunnos enlists Wonder Woman, who is an emissary of peace from the Greek gods, to come in and be a go-between between these two rival sets of Irish gods, right? And in the course of it all, there's a murder, and that's what they call Batman in. But that doesn't happen in the first issue. In the first issue, which is this one right here, Batman merely finds that there's all this weird stuff going on in the Irish quarter of Gotham. And so they head down there, and Batman gets warped into this trance, just like everyone else. And that's where the second, and then at the last part, spoiler alert, it's not really a spoiler because they actually mention it in the promotional material. That's when we find the murder, and the Fomorian king has been killed in the palace of the Danu king, of the Danan king, right? So that's the whole conflict between them. So it's pretty slick as far as that goes. And once again, I can try to pick out just. This is tight. I got to show this panel here, this page here. I'm not sure if the glare is going to catch it there, but so you have Princess Diana walking ahead of Cernunnos, right? And they're walking across these basalt columns. It's the Giant's Causeway. Now, the basalt columns of the Giant's Causeway are on North Ireland. It's a real thing, and all of these hexagonal columns are just separated out there, and they go into the ocean. You can walk out them for a while. And then at Scotland, opposite the sea, there is another smaller grouping of basalt columns. It was called the Giant's Causeway because the legend was that the giants had built it to build a bridge from Ireland to Scotland back in the elder days, when the dawn of creation was fresh on the earth. So that's the dew of creation was fresh on the earth. Say it right. Anyway, but that's all in there. A different set of legends is that when Saint Columba left Ireland to sail to Iona to found the monastery on Iona, that he left from the Giant's Causeway and sailed northeast there. So anyway, very cool stuff. But in this case, what we see is that the Giant's Causeway leads them from Ireland into the other world to land eventually in Tir na Og, the court of the De Danann, the children of Danu. So that's such cool stuff going on here. His imagery is great. The art is just great. One of the so fun things, I'm actually going to try to show this here. So the Clan Danann, right, the children of Danu, the goddess Danu, they are humanoid and very normal looking, right? And some of them are gnomes and fairies and leprechauns, like this feller right there. right? Just great design work. And then some of them, but then the Fomorians, the dark gods, are monstrous, like this fellow right here. It's not really going to show up very well with this camera because it sucks, but it's great stuff. Wonderful, wonderful title. And when I just heard that it was happening, and I had to pick it up. So this one we have to end with the murder happening with Batman in the trance. And then this next issue, Batman frees himself from the trance with some help from, I'm going to pull the cover out here, sorry, fumbling with it. This one here, and you see Wonder Woman running through the ether to Batman's side there, right? From the other world into the delusion that Batman was left in at the end of the last issue. Doesn't happen in the comic like this. This is figurative. Batman, with Alfred's help, frees himself from the vision that he's in, and then Wonder Woman says, "I need help. We need to go to court. We need to see what's going on here and find out who really killed the king of the Fomorians." And so for that, we have to go into. I need some help. I need an investigator. So she calls her buddy Batman, the world's greatest detective. Now, slight tangent. I have been out of comics for a while. I've been getting back in lately. Finances have stabilized a little bit, and Rebirth has got me interested again. The New 52 broke my heart, man. I loved what they did, what DC did with the post-crisis Earth, and especially in post-Zero Hour writers like Jerry Ordway, who was known, of course, he was an artist for years, working in the All-Star Squadron and all the stuff Roy Thomas did with building a really concise, cohesive Golden Age. They brought a lot of that Golden Age in after the Crisis, and Young All-Stars was a favorite book of mine. I loved it. Jerry Ordway's Power of Shazam was amazing. James Robinson's Starman was amazing. The Sandman, the interest in the Sandman from Neil Gaiman's Sandman was able to, and the stuff was able to spill over to the Sandman. Oh, come on. The mystery title of the Golden Age Sandman. Totally spacing it. Somebody out there, if anyone ever listens to this, somebody out there is going to be like, well, duh, it's the Sandman Mystery Theater. Anyway, I loved it. The Golden Age that came out of that, to the Silver Age, and they were with Chase, where they rewrote the Bronze Age to have a superhero influence in that, coming out of the tying into the hippie revolutions and all that kind of stuff. It was great stuff. That was a lot of the origin, the inspiration to when we built our universe for Ideal Comics, which it was great. So, but anyway, all that's tangential. I've been getting back into Batman again. I grew up. He's my guy, right? I wrote whole things about that, about Batman and Robin, whole thing. But anyway, Batman was my guy. But one thing I've noticed with a lot of Batman comics is they're not really Batman comics. They're I don't know what you call them, but they're all about, cosmic entities or time travel or space stuff, and not that those stories don't have a place in Batman, but that's not the bread and the butter, man. The bread and the butter is Batman fighting criminals to make to save the lives of others. Batman foregoing his own comfort for the sake of keeping others from suffering the way he has. That Byronic hero aspect, and that's something that just seems like it's missing from a lot of modern Batman comics. I mean, I've been really digging on the Bruce and Selena wedding coming up there. I'm not super fond with how they got to that point, but they seem to be a really fun couple, and as a big fan of fun couples, I'm half of one, I like to think. I like that story, but there's not been enough detectiving. But here, Liam Sharp's nailing that part of it. Batman's investigating. He's looking into options. He's concerned about it being magic. Is it within his wheelhouse still? You have him being a limit. He's not Grant Morrison's Bat God, which I think Grant Morrison did more to hurt Batman stories than many. I don't want to say anyone, but what's up with that, man? But yeah, anyway, I really cannot highly recommend this series enough. I know it's been out for a while because once again I'm behind the game, but I hope you guys go out and dig it. If you're interested in what I was talking about at the beginning, if anybody's interested in seeing my Mark 1 videos, there's 3 or 4 of them, and I can sure put those up. And hopefully you guys find them enjoyable. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, if I started talking way too fast so that no one could understand me, let me know, and I'll slow it down. If you want to hear more about my projects and my personal comics, I would love to talk about that too. I probably will, actually. And if I end up doing a video about the next Brave and the Bold, I'll probably bring up some of our stuff, because we have our own version of the other world that ties into our comics greater mythology too. So don't want to give away too much on that, but check out idealcomics.net, the encyclopedia. There's a little tidbit on that you can suss out for yourself. But anyway, it's been 16 minutes, which is way longer than I wanted this to be. So if anyone is still listening, thank you. This has been Comics RX. I'm MD Rhys, and I hope you all have a great day.